Hi, it's me, your girlfriend slash boyfriend slash stay friend's favorite content creator. And about a year ago, I made a video about, well, Elden Ring. And specifically, it was about the pause function. Now, I thought really nothing of it. The video didn't do anything, which is fine. I don't really care about that point. But just to show, like, it was like whatever thought put out there, not a big deal. I just saw something stupid on the internet. I was like, ha ha ha, it's kind of funny. Leave it at that. Fast forwarded a year, and we're having the same conversation that I myself thought was so stupid that I didn't even title the video nor make a thumbnail for it. We're back to people being upset about the idea of introducing a pause button to a FromSoft game. Now, this kind of kicked off again because of the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC and people saying it's really hard. But on top of that, it was Alana's video talking about situational disabilities, which is a strange video to segue to, but that's what popped it off because some less than charitable people took that as a clickbait thing to do and try to twist and say that she said the game's too hard and that if you have kids, they're a disability, which again, just not what she was saying. A situational disability is kind of what the name implies. It is a situation in which you are disabled. You don't have access to everything, right? So like think about you're in a loud area and you're trying to hear someone. You have a situational disability because right now, that particular situation, trying to hear someone in a very, very loud environment, you were not able to do that. Or for her example, she was talking about if you're playing a game and you can't pause it, like Elden Ring, and you have like a kid, you know, like that's a situational disability because what if your kid's doing something, you have to stop your game and do that, you can't stop your game.
Is concerned. There are long-term disabilities, there are situational disabilities, there are temporary disabilities. It counts as a disability where a video game like Elden Ring is concerned if you have a kid. You have a 2-year-old, you're trying to play Elden Ring, you can't pause. That is a situational disability that you have, where the game not having the option for you to be able to pause, for example, is a hindrance for your particular disability a situation is concerned. You may need to pause to stop your kid from putting a fork into a socket, a power outlet. In Australia, we call power outlets PowerPoints, but when I moved to the US, I got bullied for that because people thought that I was referring to like a PowerPoint slideshow, so trying to get that one out of my vocab. And there are temporary disabilities. You break your wrist, you sprain your wrist, you temporarily have trouble playing video games. You would need something to help you press certain buttons if you're playing Elden Ring. The third one, long-term, people who have long-term disabilities. That I do. I have tendonitis in both of my wrists from playing too many video games, unironically. That is a thing, from tapping too much. That means any rapid button mashing in any game, I'm going to have a lot of trouble with.
And a lot of people took that to be like, oh, well, you shouldn't have kids. Why are you playing the game? I'm going to show you some of the dumbest comments I've seen on this. It's insane. But the real crux of that was the introduction of a pause button. People were acting as if pausing in a FromSoft game is heresy and it's never been done before, but they're also saying, well, you can pause the game. All you have to do is, you know, go to the map, go to menu explanation, and boom, the game is paused. Seems like you could just expedite that by having a dedicated pause button, no? Like, if I told you, oh yeah, you can pause the game. All you need to do is go to this spot, make sure it's 12 p.m. where you are, so you might have to change your internal clock, spin around 3 times, summon the Dark Lord Akbu, and make a deal with him, and then you can pause your game in the game, or just have a pause button. Just a button that's been in video games, I would say for at least the past 40 years. A function that FromSoft themselves have used in Sekiro, and people are saying, well, it's an online game. Dark Souls, Elden Ring are not online games in the sense where they are strictly persistently online and you can't play them offline. I play offline. Lots of people play offline. You should be able to pause. It wouldn't be a magical feat for them to enable pausing when playing in offline mode. Like, it's a single player game. You can have a co-op experience, but the co-op is not traditional co-op. You have to have a co-op mod to play actual co-op in that game. You should be able to pause. I've also seen people talking about how it makes the game easier. There is no logical way that pausing something makes it easier. You're telling me if I'm fighting Millennia and she's about to hit me with a waterfall dance and I messed up my timing and I pause it to go pee or to eat or to do something human, you're telling me now I have an advantage? I saw someone on Twitter talking about how, oh, people are going to pause it every single time there's the word damage. What kind of robot has frame perfect timing to pause it exactly to not take damage? That's not how pause works. This isn't using Zawardo. You're not stopping time for everyone else but your player character. It's stopped for everyone. It resumes when you unpause it. I feel like people aren't understanding how a pause button works. It's not a cheat. You think what? Ninja Gaiden Black, Ninja Gaiden Sigma was easy because you could pause the game? That's just stupid. What makes it easier? Tell me, from what function would pausing a game, or specifically Elden Ring, how would that make anything easier? Why? Because I'm not holding my bladder in? Is it because I went to get a snack, now the game's gonna be, cake mode? Like, and the reason why I want to talk about this is because I really hate what's been fomenting in the Soulsborne community, and I do blame the messaging in Dark Souls with the prepare to die thing, because by doing that, they created this like mentality of these tryhards where everything has to be the most difficult, most inconvenient all the time, or you didn't play the game. You're cheating the game. You're cheating yourself. It's so idiotic. It's a pause button. It's a pause button. Mind you, going back to Alana, she didn't even say you needed to do it, although I'm sure she's an advocate for that because accessibility. But that was something they took from that and ran with. Like, that's insane to me. You should be able to pause. I said this a year ago, I'll say it now. You should be able to pause in a video game. Unless it is a persistent MMO, you should be able to pause. MMO, Battle Royale games, fine, can't pause, I get it. But if I have an option to go offline, I absolutely should be able to pause. I don't see why not. Are people too afraid to criticize any aspect of FromSoft to where even someone saying something logical like, yeah, you should be able to pause in a single player game, especially offline, that you're gonna be like, that's heresy? And yes, I said single player game because it is ostensibly so a single player game. Like, its online functionality is you go online mode, maybe you get invaded by people, but if you want to get help, you have to go to a specific area, clear off the summoning pool, and then for a specific region, someone can help you. That's it. I wouldn't really call that a full co-op experience. So yeah, it's a single player game with some light cooperative elements, but it's single player. I should be able to pause it. It does make the game less hard. And the irony I see from people talking about, oh, well, it makes it easier, you da-da-da-da-da-da. These are the same people who would dedicate hours, days, weeks to creating a build that trivializes most of the game's challenges. But they'll have the audacity to say, well, that's cheating. A pause button does not take away the difficulty of a game. You have to be an insane person to believe that. No, let's be real. You have to be an idiot to think that pausing a game makes it easier. It makes things convenient, sure, but conveniency isn't easier. Again, if I'm playing against the final DLC boss, me being able to pause to like order food or check something doesn't make the game easier. And for all you guys who are talking about, oh, but that's how Miyazaki wanted you to experience it. Okay, so then when they're like patching things in and out, what's that? Is that what he wanted you to experience, or was the patch what he wanted you to experience? When Miyazaki himself says basically use all the tools in the game because that's why they're in the game, isn't that the experience? You guys are mad about a pause button, but you also tell me there is effectively a pause button in the game. So again, is that the experience or not? If you have to do 3 to 4 steps to pause the game, but the pause function still exists, why not just make that one action? Pause button. We have controllers. My background. We have controllers. They have pauses on them. You can pause. You can share. Just pause. Just. Like, I don't understand the controversy around this. What is so bad about having a pause button on the Elden Ring or FromSoft game, especially considering the fact that they have done this in Sekiro? They have let you pause the game. They have let you pause the game. Doesn't make it easier. Just, I'm so tired of this try hard shit, you guys. Like, especially from the Soulsborne community, it's so annoying. Like, just stop doing that. Listen to people who are being rational. A pause button doesn't take away anything. And again, you don't have to fucking use it. If you're the purist, if you're the no, a game has to be persistent no matter what, then don't use it. You control the buttons you press, right? No one's gonna force you to pause it, but to have that option, it's fine. It's just like the difficulty options that people go nuts over. Like, I understand, I've played the games, I get it, but I also understand there's some people who might prefer to make some things slightly easier for them. I don't see why that's not valid. Again, Miyazaki doesn't have to do that. In fact, I'm sure he stated that it goes against the design philosophy, but there would be no harm in doing that. Because other games do that, and it doesn't take away from the game. If you have a game mode that's like Dark Souls difficulty, and then you can make it a little bit easier, but you don't have to do it, why do you care? Like, I just think it's weird people talk about the original intention of the creators and developers and this and that and the third, yet you will go and exploit the shit out of the game, which was not their original intention. There are people who do, we have whole genres of people who do speedruns, which involves like glitching through walls and skipping certain areas. That wasn't their intent, but we let it happen. No one gets like mad about that. But oh my God, Jesus, a difficulty slider? A pause button? Now you're disrupting the true intent of the game. It's like, come on, dude. Like, again, you don't have to participate in it. There are so many things within Elden Ring, for example, that I haven't even used that can make the game a billion times easier. Because I just simply don't want to use it. But that doesn't mean it doesn't have a purpose being there. It can be there. Just like there's people who don't use Spirit Ashes, there's people like myself who do use Spirit Ashes. Okay, it doesn't take anything away. Like, being upset over a pause button is stupid, is what I'm trying to tell you. It's dumb. It's dumb. Especially if you can effectively pause the game. Then let me do it in the button. Like, just, what are we doing? I always end up doing like this lately. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? Mad over a pause button? Like, enjoy your day.